Okay, Chairperson Morgan, councillors, committee members, thank you for having me tonight. I do represent the Putney Residents Aligned to Extinction Rebellion, and I'd like to talk about food waste recycling. So first off, begin with the end in mind. We've all declared a climate emergency. We realise the goal of where we want to be is zero carbon energy system, zero carbon transport system, zero carbon heating system. So with that in mind, first I would like to talk about incineration and the carbon emissions thereof. So incineration is burning stuff, and we all know that when you burn stuff, you release carbon. But there's a quirk in the paper, and I'd like to draw to point 21 of the paper, which refers to the emissions from the Belvedere incinerator. So it says, I quote, any scope for achieving further carbon reductions through diverting food waste for recycling will be minimal, if at all. Now, the reason that this is possible to say this is because there's a little accounting trick with CO2 that's going on here. And I'd like to share my screen and draw your attention to the Corey, which is the provider of Western Riverside Waste Authority services. Draw your attention to their carbon case. Okay, so the results section of the carbon case shows that in the process of burning, the waste from Wandsworth Council, the waste from the Western Riverside Waste Authority, there is 318,000 tonnes of CO2 produced from the fuel used to burn it. In addition, the thing that you're burning produces another 221,000 tonnes. So I'll go to slide 2, please. And what they say in section 2.5 of the Corey carbon case is that when energy is derived from energy from waste, conventional power generation, hence fossil fuels, will be displaced. But if I refer to the statement at the start, we are aiming for a zero carbon society. In a zero carbon generation, there are no fossil fuels used for generation. We'll be using wind, solar, and other renewable sources. So this is a fallacious argument. And what we should actually be doing is adding those two together. And I would note there that the total emissions from the Belvedere incinerator is 540,000 tonnes, which is insane. Now, I'd like to present a case of several different types of waste processing options that we have. Many of us will know that landfill is pretty horrific because it's an uncontrolled environment for waste, particularly food waste. It turns into methane and is released into the air, methane being a horrific greenhouse gas. You've then got the incinerator, and I've just explained the carbon emissions from incinerator. Anaerobic digestion is better again. It's in a controlled environment. You can capture the gases better. And the byproduct is used as a fertilizer, so you can spread it in agricultural environments. However, the best outcome is aerobic compost. That's properly treated compost in an aerobic environment. And the US EPA Waste Resource Management declares it actually carbon negative. So I'd like to move forward now to Wandsworth Council's waste. So as I mentioned before, the entire Waste Authority produces 375,000 tonnes of waste. Now, Wandsworth's share, I've just made an assumption here, we have 350,000 people out of the million people across the 4 boroughs. So that's 35%. Now, I chatted to the commercial team at the West London Waste Authority, and their website references about 1/3 of total waste is food waste. So then I applied that. You multiply that out and you get approximately 43,000 tonnes of food waste in Wandsworth per year, or 3,600 tonnes a month. So final slide here, presenting the options once more. Hammersmith and Fulham states the gate fee, which is the per tonne rate cost that we pay to ship our waste down the river to the incinerator. You times that by 40,000 tonnes, that costs Wandsworth £6 million per year. Now, if we were to divert that to an anaerobic digestion system, that would cost £1.3 million per year, because the gate fee, the processing fee, is much less. But the gold standard is aerobic compost, and that's a little bit more expensive because no energy is generated and they can't sell it. That's 50 tons, £50 per ton gate fee, $2 million per year, or a £4.1 million saving per year compared to the status quo. So I'd like to talk about that saving. That's a saving in 2025. So by basically every financial analysis, we can discount that future saving to today. And if we use a 20% rate, which is effectively putting it on your credit card, we have $1.6 million to spend today on changing our process handling of our food waste stream. But maybe we're not quite as effective, and the council can't manage to engage residents to recycle 100% of their food waste. So I'm going to assume that residents in Wandsworth process 25% of their waste through the food waste recycling scheme, and 75% still goes in the residual waste system. So even at a 20% utilisation of food waste recycling and a discounted rate of 20%, which is super conservative, that gives us £400,000 today to spend on food waste initiatives. By any metric, any bank, if you took that business case, they would hand you over the money and sign it up, and you'll pay it off with future savings in the budget. Now, what do we do with all this money? Well, initiatives. Let's get to work. But what's important is consultation and engagement with the community. This is education and engagement. And so if you just roll this out blind with people unawares, it's going to be rejected. I managed to get hold of some civil servants working in Hammersmith and Fulham, and also Southwark. And depending on your population, be it high density council housing, tower blocks, or street residentials, there's different solutions that they respond to and different communications they respond to, be it an orange bag or the language that is used to engage residents around food waste recycling. So the trials that we can start today with discounted savings that are available, we can practice our messaging, we can get it right so that when 2024 comes around, we can hit the ground running and absolutely smash our food waste recycling quotas.